local, new. KSBY News at 6 starts right now.
We label anything that's a suspicious death. Could be a homicide, could be a suicide, could be accidental, could be a medical condition.
The search is on for answers surrounding the death of a man whose body was found in a drainage ditch yesterday.
Good evening, everyone. Investigators are looking for evidence today after that man's body was found yesterday in Nipomo.
The San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's Office says the death is suspicious. A supervisor of an agricultural operation there spotted the body and called police.
Our Cameron Polam joins us live from the scene. Cameron, what have you got for us? What's the latest?
John, I'm standing near the exact spot where the body was located. A field supervisor found the body submerged in this drainage ditch. You can see a lot of the water is still here. You can see this soil has been turned out by investigators who were searching for physical evidence today, helping them to determine a cause of death. Now, for those answers, they also turned to some community members who specialize in finding anything, anywhere. Wayne Mills isn't your normal investigator.
When I hunt, I like to do it in a systematic manner. It's like painting the ground.
Mills is part of an organization called Central Coast Treasure Hunters. After retiring from Caltrans in 2009, he took up treasure hunting as a hobby.
It's become more of an obsession than a hobby, I guess.
Today, the sheriff's office has called upon that obsession. His job is to find physical evidence that might help police piece together this latest investigation. Police say they found the man's body in this drainage ditch. As you can see around me in this agriculture field, there's a lot of ground to cover as they search for additional evidence.
Maybe luck does play into it, but they say that I just read a quote that said the harder that you work, the more lucky you are.
That's exactly what investigators are hoping will happen today. Mills and two others scour the area, pass after pass, and the work can seem endless. However, bullet casings and other scraps of debris could point them in the right direction.
It's a beep or it's no beep. Sometimes the tone is kind of mushy, which means it's probably not as good a target as what I want.
Everything that is found is dug up and examined. And whether Mills helps break the case or not, his satisfaction lies in the hunt itself.
You're there to help, and so you just do your best. It's always interesting, the thing with metal detecting, you never know what you're going to find. You can find anything, anywhere.
Central Coast Treasure Hunters has assisted the Sheriff's Office with multiple investigations, even helping to solve one. Now, the Sheriff's Office Gang Task Force was also on scene today looking for any possible connection. Live and local in Nipomo tonight, I'm Cameron Polam, KSBY News.
All right, Cameron, thank you for that update. And in February of 2010, 32-year-old Pedro Gonzalez's body was discovered in that very same area. The Sheriff's Office says Gonzalez was shot and killed in Guadalupe. The crime was determined to be gang-related.
As new students move into town, San Luis Obispo police say so do the thieves. They're after students' laptops, tablets, and other electronic devices. Kelly Moore is live in a neighborhood near Cal Poly tonight that police say is often an easy target. What makes it so easy, Kelly?
Jeanette, new students are moving in. There's so much excitement and they get easily distracted, so they get caught off guard, leaving their front door wide open, going next door to meet their new neighbors, or simply leaving something of value inside their car with their car unlocked.
Laptops, cell phones, iPads.
All electronics that are an easy grab and can be sold online without a trail.
And now this opportunity for people to come in and blend in with, other students.
That's because there are many new faces as Cal Poly and Cuesta kick off, so who knows who's a neighbor or who's a thief.
We're on Hathaway, a lot of foot traffic, always a lot of students in the area, a lot of open doors.
Like this home.
You leave your house for 5 minutes. Next thing you know, your front door's open, you come back, your laptop's gone, your Xbox is gone. Within a matter of 5 minutes.
But it's not just homes and apartments that are an easy target.
The window's partially cracked. They can reach in, unlock the door real quick. It's also a time thing, especially in the day. They want to get in, get out as quick as they can.
And this is a perfect example of what not to do.
Purse right on the front seat, plain view. If somebody wants that bad enough, it's not going to take much to get in there.
Thefts from cars and home burglaries are not only common during the first week of school, but
and then it oftentimes is during the Christmas break time when people are away from their residences.
All this sounds like a lot of common sense, but police say people just don't pay attention and they often become victims. Just this morning, Captain Staley says an area home left their front door wide open and their Xbox was taken. Live and local in San Luis Obispo, Kelly Moore, KSBY News.
All right, Kelly, good reminder to keep those doors locked and keep your electronics out of sight.
Lompoc police say they arrested a man who broke into a medical office. The burglary happened Tuesday morning, yesterday, in the 200 block of West Central Avenue. Police say the burglar tried to drive a car into the business, trying to open the door. When that failed, he threw a cement block through the window. They say the thief got away with prescription drugs and other property. Now, detectives say they've identified 22-year-old Joseph Lagatuda as the thief. The police say they found evidence from the burglary at his house and that Lagatuda confessed to the crime. He faces charges of commercial burglary, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Police say he has also got an outstanding warrant.
The San Luis Obispo Sheriff's Office arrested a man in connection with the deadly stabbing that happened in Oceano back in June. 36-year-old Joseph Munoz of Oceano was already in custody for a probation violation. He was rebooked on one count of homicide. The Sheriff's Office says 25-year-old Joseph Patilla was stabbed and killed during a fight in June. The investigation is not over. Crime Stoppers is offering a $1,000 reward for more information. You can contact Crime Stoppers at 549-STOP.
We heard Kelly Moore talking about all the Cal Poly students who are back in town. This year's freshman class is the biggest ever. Last night marked the first night of Week of Welcome, or WOW, celebrations. And while campus officials promote safe orientation programs, it did not stop kids from partying. San Luis Obispo police say last night they handed out quite a few citations. 12 people were cited for being a minor in possession of alcohol. Citations included 4 open container, 5 urination in public, 1 drunk in public, 1 noise violation, 2 DUIs. Police say 2 people were taken to the hospital for severe intoxication. These citations do come with hefty fines. City and university police will be out in full force all the way through the weekend.
Traffic was slow moving in the northbound lanes of Highway 101 through Santa Barbara late this afternoon. A semi-truck's fuel tank ruptured and diesel spilled onto the highway at San Ysidro. Happened just after 11 this morning. The Montecito Fire Department says the spill was estimated to be about 20 to 30 gallons. Traffic is moving through the area fine again. Caltrans crews are cleaning up the Central Coast. Today, crews were out on Highway 1 just south of Grand Avenue in Grover Beach. This effort is part of a large effort called Don't Trash California. Last year, more than 65,000 volunteers removed more than 770,000 pounds of trash and recyclables from beaches, lakes, and waterways.
There's a public meeting tonight to talk about the open space management plan for Los Flores Ranch Park in Santa Maria. It starts at 6:30 at the Elwyn Mussel Senior Center. The public can meet with city officials about the future of that park. It is on Dominion Road, the park is, just south of Santa Maria. It has more than 1,700 acres of landscape, 8 miles of trails for hikers, horseback riders, and cyclists.
September is Latino Heritage Month, and some high schoolers in Santa Maria are hoping to teach elementary school children about the cultural heritage of their community as well as the basics of reading. The Santa Maria High School Chicano and Latino Studies class went to Sanchez Elementary to read books to the younger students. Their teachers say the program allows students to share the rich legacy of Latino history, encourages them to be proud of their heritage, and promotes higher education.
Unfortunately, a lot of elementary school students don't get exposure to Latino history or African American history or even Asian American history or Native history. So being that our area has a lot of Latino students, we want to make sure that our students take pride in their roots.
National Hispanic Heritage Month recognizes the contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans. It's observed throughout the country from September 15th to October 15th.
A group called the California Mission Riders continued its journey down the Central Coast today. Last year, they rode from Sonoma to San Miguel. On Sunday, their journey started back up in San Miguel, and they heard the bells today. They toured Mission San Luis Obispo de Tolosa. They're going to be back on the road tomorrow, heading to Napomo to visit the Rancho Napomo Dana Adobe. Now, along the way, the riders learned about California history.
For me, learning in 4th grade, I thought I knew a lot about the missions. Didn't know anything. Now I'm learning it all, and it's crazy the stuff that I didn't know. You know, I didn't even know that the Indians built the mission. had no idea.
The group stops at each California mission along the way. Final destination is Mission San Diego de Alcala in San Diego. For more info on their ride, go to KSBY.com.
Well, the new Affordable Care Act kicks off for all Americans soon, and all of the changes can be confusing.
Coming up in the first of our special two-part series, we break down everything you need to know before January 1st rolls around. Stay with us. Well, the nation's healthcare system is about to undergo its biggest reform in generations.
For the first time, most people who were uninsurable will be able to buy health insurance from private companies.
Yeah, they can choose policies in an apples-to-apples comparison at health exchanges.
Enrollment begins October 1st, but a lot of us have a lot of questions. Our Dan Shadwell's been digging through the details, and it is confusing. What do we need to know about it as this approaches?
Okay, well, so here, this is causing a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
So we should just say right up front, this in fact is going to be first of a two-part series, because we do want to try to get through some of these things. The first thing that you really want to understand is that if you already have insurance either through your employer, through Medicare, or through the VA, there's nothing you really need to do. That's about 85% of the country right there. For you, the changes are likely to just improve your coverage with free preventative care, the elimination of annual and lifetime caps on your coverage, and the elimination of pre-existing condition exclusions. Now, when the law takes effect on January 1st, the big change will be to bring most of the remaining 15% of Americans who have no insurance under the umbrella of coverage.
We had a partial restoration.
Public health expert Joel Derringer has a big job these days trying to battle all the rumors, politics, and misunderstandings. And he says this is the main point.
Everyone can get insurance now, and your premiums can't be any different because of your health status. No longer can insurance companies start inquiring about past medical history and deciding whether to insure you or how much to charge you.
Derringer spent thousands of hours studying Obamacare, and he says there's really nothing to be scared of.
For most people, nothing will change. If you have Medicare, keep it. It's yours. Nothing changes really with Medicare. If you're on VA, you have coverage. So the individual mandate says you have to have coverage. Well, don't forget, about 80 to 85% of people in the country already have coverage.
And for those who don't, this is the gateway to getting it, coveredca.com. Now right here, you can pick from a variety of plans, some with lower upfront costs and higher copays, others that cost a little bit more upfront but then force the insurance companies to cover the bulk of the bills when you get sick. A bronze plan covers 60% of expected costs, silver covers 70%, gold 80%, and platinum 90%. Plus, for low and moderate income earners, there's help paying those premiums from the federal government. Derringer says a family of four, in fact, can make up to $80,000 a year and still get a federal subsidy.
And that's what the calculator on coveredcalifornia.com does, is calculates your income, your family size, your location, and lets you know what your premiums are and then how much of that is subsidized by the federal government.
Dr. Penny Borenstein says this is no government takeover.
It still very much uses the private market, so efficiencies are encouraged, both on the side of the provider as well as the insurers.
Since everyone will have to have coverage, insurance companies won't go out of business just paying for the most expensive patients. The risk will be spread over the entire population. Well, you may have heard about fines if you refuse insurance. That is part of it. The first year it would be the higher of either $95 or 1% of your income. In 2015, that would jump to $395 or 2% of your income. And by 2016, $695 or 2.5% of your income. The fine may be cheaper than paying for insurance, but you're taking a big risk if you get injured or sick and have to catch all the bills yourself. Contrary to reports that Obamacare will ruin the economy, Dr. Borenstein says it may in fact drastically reduce the number of Americans facing financial ruin by eliminating annual and lifetime caps on medical coverage.
Because they happen to get into a car accident or happen to get cancer. No one should live under that threat.
Well, Dr. Borenstein, of course, is not an economist, but she is right about this. Huge medical bills are currently the #1 cause of personal bankruptcy in the United States. Borenstein says the shift to preventative care should also lower costs for the entire system, and people will be encouraged to get treatment in the early stages of illness when that treatment is relatively cheap. So, yeah.
Okay, I have a question, because
Sure.
you said for people like us, we're insured
Yes.
here at KSBY.
Yep.
Nothing changes, but you said there may be some improvements, but do we have to go sign up for those improvements?
No, you don't. In fact, what's going to happen here is that the federal government is now going to require that all insurance plans provide a minimum amount of care.
Okay.
So, for example, you will have no pre-existing condition exclusion. In other words, if you have a pre-existing condition
You're
that
golden.
you cannot, you're golden there. On top of that, you will also have no lifetime or even annual caps for insurance coverage. So, in other words, if you have to have an operation or something, they can't say, well, you're good up to 100,000, then you're on your own.
Right.
So,
All right.
anyhow, but check out coveredca.com. We have a link on
We have
our
a link,
website
yeah.
at ksby.com.
And part 2 is coming when?
Next Wednesday, we're going to dig into some of the myths about this, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. We want to try to wade through and make sure people get good information.
Boy, nicely done to break it down for us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Dan Shadwell, thank you. All right, let's turn it out to the healthiest guy in the on the Central Coast.
Preventative care.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. Eat well, live well.
I thought it was the marine layer. Everything else is the marine layer.
Can't complain about today. Nice warm day. That's Grover Beach. Offshore winds. How warm did it get around the Central Coast? We're going to talk about that and how long it's going to last. Live local weather right after this.
Now, your live, local TrueView 6 weather forecast with meteorologist Dave Hovde.
Yesterday we showed you Lake Nacimiento and how low it is. Other lakes in the area and reservoirs are even in worse shape. Take a look at San Antonio out here, this picture by Angel York. It is way, way down. Let's take a look at the numbers for some of the other reservoirs. San Antonio is at only 8.6% of capacity, and Gibraltar is worse off at 7.8%. Elsewhere, Kachuma is at 49.7% and Jameson is at 34%. We ran down some of the other reservoir totals yesterday. In other words, we badly need something in the way of rainfall, and soon. It's not in the upcoming forecast. There is a front that comes through here late Friday into Saturday, stalls in the area, could produce some drizzle at the coast, but otherwise all it's going to do is drop the temperatures around here, which today were much above normal thanks to offshore winds. So let's talk a little bit about that and take a look at some of the daytime highs. 87 in Santa Maria and 86 in Paso Robles. So yes, it was warmer in Santa Maria than in Paso Robles today because of the offshore flow. In San Luis, 88, 73 in Lompoc, 77 in Santa Barbara. Visible satellite picture, not surprisingly, with the offshore winds, it's knocked out the marine layer, and the afternoon breeze has kept it mixed out. Across the state of California, it is true elsewhere as well. Looking at what's going on around the west, and especially in Colorado, where we're so sensitive to additional rainfall, there's been this frontal system pushing through northern Colorado, and this rain is falling on top of already completely saturated ground. But this is not a system that's going to stall out for days like the area of low pressure and the monsoonal flow that led to historic flooding. So for us, with high pressure in the west, that's producing the offshore wind in the morning hours. But in the afternoon, when the landmass heats up, we get that sympathetic sea breeze coming back. But it's going to be warm again tomorrow. All the basic factors are still in play. I think the afternoon wind won't be as hefty as today. Winds and temperature currently, 67 in San Luis, 68 Santa Maria, 77 in Solvang, 86 in Paso Robles. And winds right now back down to about 15 to 20. They had been as high as 30. Just 50 in Butte, it's 86 in Topeka, 91 in Dallas, 102 in Phoenix. For us, 85 in San Luis tomorrow, 82 in Santa Maria, 92 in Paso Robles. Very, very similar day to today, except the interior warms a few degrees. 87 at Santa Ynez, 88 in Solvang, with the overnight lows in the 40s. In the 5 cities, Pismo Beach, 83 degrees, 86 in San Luis Obispo. I would guess that all those thousands of folks in town just kind of checking out San Luis might head down for an absolutely fantastic beach day tomorrow. Even the North Coast could squeeze out some mid-70s. But it doesn't last long. By Friday and Saturday, again, the marine layer is back in. Could be especially dense on Saturday morning, but by Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon, winds will mix that out. Temperatures pretty pleasant across the board. Again, tomorrow being the warmest day in the extended forecast. Paso Robles, nice weekend on tap. Low to mid 80s. The last few weekends have been about 100 degrees. And Santa Barbara and the South Coast, temperatures in the 70s, warming to the 80s for Sunday and Monday. Jeanette, John, back to you.
You know, I'm hearing a lot of parents in my head, hearing them say, gee, you know, maybe we should get a house here and rent to the and make a stand here, so when the kids out of college, they can move
This
here.
week, those visitors and parents of the students are getting some good weather. But coming up here next in sports, another key Dodgers out of the lineup for LA. Matt's going to have the details of that. That plus a local star hopes to carry his team to new heights. Matt Santamaria has this week's Legend in the Making next.
Mission Prep appeared on the brink of rebuilding mode. Entering 2013, the Royals lost their starting quarterback, running back, and top wide receiver from a year ago, all to graduation. But Patrick Laird, now a senior himself, was determined to carry the load for the Royals, and at least through 3 games, mission accomplished. It's not hard to find the heart and soul of Mission Prep's top-ranked football team. It lies squarely between the 2 and the 3.
One of the things I try to do is lead by example, so that's kind of been my my MO.
Patrick Laird was one of the most dynamic players on the Central Coast a year ago, but despite a junior season where he ran for nearly 1,000 yards and caught over 500 more, the senior set out to be even better.
It's different being a senior now. I feel like I'm one of the bigger leaders on the team, and so I try to push the guys, and I don't just tell them to do it. I go do it and show them how to work hard. And
so with a bigger role coming in 2013, that's exactly what Laird did. He put in his work over the offseason and in turn has quickly become Mission's workhorse.
You know, we knew we were going to be giving him the ball, and he's going to be the guy for us this year behind our offensive line. You know, and we joked coming in the year, 40 carries is what he wanted. I said, oh, I don't know, we'll get you about 25.
Injuries to the Royals on offense have altered that game plan, and in true workhorse-like fashion, Laird has delivered. In a recent win over defending Northeast Division champ Rio Hondo Prep, Laird ran 41 times for 229 yards. Coach Henry said after, his 41st carry was as hard and as strong as his first one. And with Mission Prep prime for another run, Laird says he's ready to carry the Royals to a CIF title.
I think we can. I think sky's the limit. I think we can make it back to a CIF championship. That's our goal. So, no guarantees for now, but that's our goal.
Now, Laird's numbers may make you a bit tired just reading them. The senior has carried the football 99 times for 582 yards through Mission's first 3 games. More importantly, he has the Royals sitting at 2-1 and atop the CIF's Northeast Division rankings. LA Dodger ace Clayton Kershaw will not make his scheduled start against Arizona tonight. To move, the team says, is merely an attempt to limit the young left-hander's workload. Kershaw leads Major League Baseball with 223 innings pitched this year. He's expected to start in San Diego on Saturday. The Oakland A's began the day with a 6.5 game cushion on Texas, hosting the Angels. Tied at 2 third inning. Yoenis Cespedes 2-run shot to dead center field. That gives Oakland a 4-2 lead. It would stay that way into the 9th, but Josh Hamilton, Grant Balfour knew at the second it left Hamilton's bat. That's a 2-run shot for him. Sends the game to extra innings. Hamilton would then add a sac fly in the 11th. Angels win it by a final of 5-4. Rangers, in progress right now. So for now, it's a 6-game lead for Oakland in the AL West.
Good deal.
All right, thanks, Matt.
The investigation into the deadly Navy Yard shooting continues tonight. Still ahead on KSBY News at 6:30. The mother of the shooter is talking, and today employees of the Navy Yard return to work.
Plus, the Federal Reserve Chairman decided against reducing stimulus today. Find out what it did for the stock market.
Live, local, news. KSBY News at 6:30 starts right now.
Thanks for joining us on KSBY News at 6:30 tonight.
If you're just tuning into us, excuse me for interrupting, you want to give a quick look now to our tonight's top stories from the Central Coast.
The investigation continues today into what officials are calling a suspicious death. San Luis Obispo Sheriff's investigators say a man's body was found in an agricultural ditch near Division Road in Nipomo yesterday. Today, a group called Central Coast Treasure Hunters was called in to help search for evidence. The Sheriff's Gang Task Force was also there looking for possible connections. The victim has not been identified yet.
As new students move into San Luis Obispo, the police say so do thieves. They're after students' laptops, tablets, and other electronics. Police say during move-in, students can be very distracted by everything new and often let down their guard, leaving the front door wide open or leaving their car unlocked with valuables in plain sight. Police say don't be an easy target. Keep your shiny stuff out of sight.
Last night marked the first night of Week of Welcome, or WOW celebrations for new Cal Poly students. San Luis Obispo police say last night they handed out quite a few citations. 12 people were cited for being a minor in possession of alcohol. 4 open container citations were handed out, 5 urination in public, 1 drunk in public, 1 noise violation, and 2 DUIs. They say 2 people were taken to the hospital as well for severe intoxication. All of these top stories and all of the day's news can always be found on our website, ksby.com. The top stories box is at the very top of the homepage.
In news around the world, 6 people were killed in Canada this morning when a train and double-decker bus collided. Officials say 30 people were hurt, then 10 of them critically. Witnesses said the bus went through a closed crossing barrier. Passengers say they screamed for the driver to stop just before the bus plowed into the side of the train. One bus passenger says he doesn't think the driver noticed the signals were flashing and the barrier was down. This is the second major rail accident in Canada this year. An oil train derailed and exploded in Quebec in July, killing 47 people. One day after it was pulled upright, cleanup continues on the coast of Concordia. Today, investigators continue their search for 2 bodies that were never recovered after the cruise liner capsized off the coast of Italy. It also enables recovery crews to open safes on board and return valuables to passengers. The side that was underwater was heavily damaged while bearing the weight of the 115,000-ton ship.
In the wake of the Washington Navy Yard shooting, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel is vowing to close what he calls gaps in the base access system. He acknowledged there were warnings that gunman Aaron Alexis had serious mental health issues. Steve Handelsman reports from the Navy Yard tonight.
As more workers return to the Navy Yard, the Pentagon promised to keep them safer.
And where there are failures, we will correct them. We owe the victims, their families, and all our people nothing less.
Defense Secretary Hagel's ordered 3 reviews of who gets on to U.S. bases. 2 days after the Monday massacre, a year-long Navy study revealed 52 felons got passes through one clearance program, adding to the risk. The chief of naval operations denied economics played a part.
We don't cut budgetary corners for security, Chairman.
Gunman Aaron Alexis got his security pass through a tougher clearance program, but he kept it, despite clear signs his mental illness was getting worse. A red flag waved August 7th in Rhode Island. From this hotel in Newport, Alexis called police and told them he was hearing voices and hit by microwaves. And police notified the Navy base nearby where Alexis was working. And that contact is key to the investigation.
What should have been done that wasn't done, should have been more done.
Questions asked after the Fort Hood massacre in 2009. More attention was promised to mental health issues after Army Major Nidal Hassan murdered 13 people. Today, the mother of the Navy Yard shooter is anguished.
Aaron is now in a place where he can no longer do harm to anyone, and for that I am glad. To the families of the victims, I am so very sorry that this has happened. My heart is broken.
While the Pentagon vows to fix a base access system that looks broken. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Washington.
One set of recommendations will come from a non-military independent panel. The stock market closed at a record high today after the Federal Reserve's surprise decision to keep its economic stimulus in place. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped 147 points to 15,676. The S&P 500 rose 20 points to close at 1725. Both were records. The NASDAQ also rose 38 points.
Oklahoma health officials say a Tulsa area dentist is responsible for the nation's first transmission of hepatitis C between patients. Dr. Scott Harrington's dental practice was shut down in March when it was discovered he used rusty equipment and his staff reused needles. Today, Oklahoma state officials say genetic tests found there is at least one instance an infectious disease was spread. Officials say this is the first documented report of patient-to-patient transmission of Hep C in a dental setting in the U.S. More than 4,000 people have been tested. 89 people tested positive for hepatitis C, 5 for hepatitis B, and 4 for HIV.
Google has launched a new health company called Calico. It will focus on aging and related diseases. The internet search giant says the company will be headed by Arthur Levinson. He is the current chairman and former CEO of biotechnology company Genentech and the chairman of Apple. A spokesperson said Google sees potential for technology to improve people's health and their lives.
Federal officials hope a new smartphone app that I'm sure Dave Hovde has already will help reduce the number of whales that are hit and killed by ships sailing in the San Francisco Bay. It's called Whale Spotter, and it'll allow boaters who spot whales to plot their location on an interactive map. Whales swim outside the bay every year. There's a lot of food. Several dead whales suspected to have been killed by ships have washed ashore this year in the Bay Area. This morning, an Antares rocket, as it's called, took off from Virginia. A capsule was aboard carrying 1,600 pounds of cargo and will dock with the International Space Station this weekend. This is a crucial step for Orbital Sciences. That's the private company behind this launch. If Orbital succeeds, it will be the second privately built spacecraft to carry cargo to the International Space Station. The Central Coast has become a hotspot for drug smugglers. Coming up in tonight's Good Question, why Ponga boats are the vessel of choice for people who smuggle drugs into the U.S.
And later, a look at cleanup and recovery efforts in Colorado, where massive floods created widespread devastation.
Last week alone, drug smugglers made 2 more runs to the Central Coast, at least. An abandoned Ponga boat was found at San Simeon, and then 18 people were arrested when a Ponga came ashore near Refugio State Beach. Now that raised this question: why are Ponga boats so popular with smugglers? That's a good question. The answer? Because of the boat's shape. Its wide, flat bottom allows the boat to ride buoyantly with a heavy load, like the 4 or 5 tons of marijuana plus a dozen people on a typical run. It can be tough going in heavy seas, but it navigates easily in shallow waters and can be run right up onto a beach for offloading. A Ponga sits low in the water with sides usually painted blue, making it hard to spot in open waters. Smugglers cover the boats with a blue tarp so they can't be seen by eyes in the sky, and at night the tarps make Coast Guard heat-seeking technology almost useless. The Pongas range from 25 to 40 feet long and carry up to 4 outboard engines. They can reach speeds of 45 miles an hour or more and can outrun most Coast Guard vessels. Now, the typical smuggling run starts in Mexico when a loaded Ponga heads 100 miles out to sea. It then turns north for 300 miles, refueling with barrels of gas it carries or by meeting up with a mothership at sea. When it's parallel to a predetermined beach, it heads 100 miles back to shore and offloads to a waiting van. And by the way, Ponga is an African word meaning thin blade, which refers to the long, thin shape of that boat. If you've got a good question, friend me on Facebook with it, and remember, the only bad question is the one you don't ask. Dave and Jeanette?
Thank you very much, John. That was a lot of information.
I didn't know they could outrun the Coast Guard.
In some cases, yeah, with that kind of power and speed. But if you think about Coast Guard vessels, they're huge. So.
Right.
Speaking of water, the beach today, it was
Yeah.
80-something degrees in Shell Beach this morning.
That's right. And then the winds turned around, and now the temperatures are back in the 70s. Which way are the winds blowing tomorrow? We're going to talk about that. That is the historic Railroad District in San Luis Obispo. Look out! Live local weather is next.
Now, your live, local TrueView 6 weather forecast with meteorologist Dave Hovde.
The locals jumping for joy out at Avila Beach today. Is such a nice warm day. Glenn Knowles out there with his camera once again. We love it. So many good pictures of the area over the last few weeks. And if you have one of your own, I'd love to see it. You can post it to my Facebook fan page and share it with everybody. We try to pick out a couple of good ones to share with you here on air as well. Here's what's going on. Early offshore flow again tomorrow. Cold front is going to stall in the area late Friday into Saturday. Temperatures are going to fall somewhat significantly over that time period, but no rain associated with that front, maybe just some drizzle with a deeper marine layer. Let's take a look at some of those daytime highs today. Santa Maria warmer than Paso Robles by one. It was 87 degrees in Santa Maria, 88 in San Luis Obispo, 73 in Lompoc, at 77 in Santa Barbara. And the daytime highs occurred late this morning. By afternoon, we were already back to much cooler conditions because the sea breeze kicked up. Visible satellite picture shows clear. The radar clear across California. Not much going on. We're going to talk more about what's going on in Colorado here in just a few minutes. Across the west, with high pressure located up over Oregon and Washington, that flow is definitely offshore in the morning hours, and that's where we see key heating. Now, when the landmass heats up, low pressure is produced. That air begins to rise. We get that sympathetic sea breeze in the afternoon. And it was pretty hefty today, 25 to 30 mile per hour winds. But the same basic setup is there again tomorrow. 86 in Paso Robles, 67 in San Luis, 74 in Solvang, 61 in Vandenberg, and 68 in Santa Barbara. It's 67 in San Luis. We were 88 degrees for the daytime high. So that's how critical that sea breeze is and when it develops and how strong it is. 66 in Salt Lake City, 76 in Nashville, 60 in Washington, D.C., 68 in Chicago. It's 102 right now in Phoenix. Local forecast, your TrueView 6 forecast, 92 in Paso Robles, 85 in San Luis, 80 in Santa Barbara, and 81 in Lompoc, with the overnight lows tonight in the 50s. The air is fairly dry because of the offshore flow, so we can really see those overnight lows drop. But again, with that offshore in the morning and some sinking and compressing air, we'll also see those beach communities jump again back into the 80s. I think a lot of folks will be heading out there. 71 Morro Bay, 77 Cambria, 86 in Avila Beach. All those folks in town for the week of welcome at Cal Poly. Probably going to enjoy the beach community as well. You can see the extended forecast doesn't have another day like tomorrow in it. Not bad for the weekend, but breezy and cooler. Paso Robles, North County, 92 tomorrow, but back into the low to mid 80s over the weekend. Significantly cooler than the last few weekends. And in Santa Barbara, temperatures in the 70s, warming into the 80s on Sunday and Monday. Well, here's a look at what's going on over the state of Colorado. It has been almost a full week since flash flooding in Colorado washed out roads and homes. Tonight, while recovery efforts are underway, hundreds remain stranded in Colorado high country. Jay Gray in Boulder with the latest.
Search and rescue teams continue to provide a lifeline to hundreds stranded by the floodwaters in northern Colorado. Rescue teams reuniting families separated by the storms. In many areas, the only way out is by air, while on the ground. Crews continue to push into communities cut off from the outside for almost a full week.
We got out and using manual labor, shovels and axes and the chainsaws, and we built our own little ridge across some flowing water and cleared some mudslides and found ways around.
Clearing the way for recovery teams who now face a difficult mission.
Going house to house, searching debris piles, searching vehicles, actively looking for victims and the deceased.
But in some areas, the damage is so severe it will be months before there's a way in or out on the ground. And officials have a stern warning now for those who've refused to leave.
We're hoping that many of those reconsider or make sure that they're ready for winter at this point and can shelter in place for many, many months.
During a recovery that will take even longer. Jay Gray, NBC News, Boulder, Colorado.
Tonight, television stations in Colorado are holding a telethon to raise money for victims. Central Coast Red Cross volunteers are also helping. If you'd like to help support the Red Cross's disaster relief effort, just text the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. Head to ksby.com and click on links to find other ways to help. John, Jeanette, back to you.
All right, thank you, Dave. The world's most expensive model car is on display in Dubai.
Still ahead, we'll show you how the gold Lamborghini looks and find out how much it goes for. Coming up tonight at 10 on the CW5 and 11 on KSBY, thousands of unemployed Californians have another problem. Unemployment checks from the state are late because of a computer glitch. We'll find out what the state's doing to get the claims processed.
Plus, you feel lucky? The Powerball lottery jackpot has reached $400 million. We'll tell you the winning numbers. That's at 10 and 11. How about this? A prototype of the world's most expensive model car is on display in Dubai.
It's a gold-plated and diamond-encrusted Lamborghini.
The model is a 22-carat gold-plated prototype of the car a German engineer plans to make out of solid gold and precious gems.
Wow. Now, the model is valued at $2.9 million. Once completed, the 25-inch model will go up for auction with a starting price of $7.8 million.
Wow. The manufacturers say the model will take 3 Guinness World Records for most expensive and precious model car, the most luxurious logo, and the world's most secure showcase. Something to be very proud of. What's the showcase?
Got to build the big car, right?
That's, I know, imagine that. That's a dream car and the real deal.
And if we put our money in to kind of pool our money here at,
for the lottery.
For the lottery tonight, and if we get it, I vote we stay away from the Lamborghini.
I was just going to say, we are not getting that model car. No way, no how. We're going to Hawaii. We're going to take a yacht over there.
I like what you're saying.
Take a cruise. We can rent a cruise ship. All right, we're going to be back at 10, 11
Big
tonight
one.
with more. Not a model.
Lots of space.